This is what we do on a daily basis, day in and day out, looking at data, trying to figure out what it is that's working in Spokane, Washington, all the way down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and seeing how we can really cater to clients to deliver the best information possible to them and the best results to them, and the information back to you through these webinars and through the education. So excited to get into it today.
He still has me muted. There we go. He muted me because I was talking yesterday about our podcast when I went and it got into the very beginning, and then I went to go do one today and the fucker muted me, so it didn't get in there. So, there goes my humor, and then I got thrown off by flipping him the bird. So there we go. Welcome
no
back.
Fun police.
Right, the no fun police. Thaddeus and Evan on Purpose Media coming at you with an optimizing your ad spend, a PPC for home services webinar where we're going to dive into a bunch of different things on PPC. Super excited. PPC is one of those things that people talk a lot about SEO, PPC, Facebook ads in the digital world, and how does it work? Well, you can do a lot of bad things with PPC if you're not smart with it. You can also do a lot of great things with PPC if you are smart with it. And partnering with the agency that does it the right way is also good things. We're going to peel back some of those layers, especially when it comes to ramping up in the busy time and people are searching for ACE repair near me. Well, you have the opportunity to show up for those demand-based items that people are looking for. So excited.
Yeah. And just to be very clear, this is not the webinar that's going to teach you how to run your own Google ads. There's tons of YouTube videos on that. If you want to go research that, go for it. This is meant for owners who are in a position where they need to generate more leads into their business. They need to take better control of their marketing and understand what it is that's happening on a high level, not getting into the weeds of how to set up an ad and set keywords and all of that kind of stuff.
I like it.
Yeah. Thad and I just had a conversation yesterday on how bad he is at wanting to get into the weeds and solve problems with the team and fix everything. I'm being facetious, of course, because that's more so me. But yeah, as owners, you need to be able to step back into your role, understand that you are the driver of the company. And marketing is important for that. You need to have an understanding of what's going on with your marketing, where your dollars are being spent and all of that. But you got to be able to do it responsibly. So
you don't need to know how to
dive into.
You don't need to know how to do it, but you need to understand and have a conversation about it, right? But actually, the conversation we had yesterday, and then we'll get into the webinar, founder syndrome. And I was on a call with somebody who has built 4 8-figure businesses. He sold 3 of them, and he was talking about this idea of founder syndrome. And really, it's where we as owners want to be able to pull every single lever ourselves, because oftentimes when we started, that's what we did, right? We pulled every single lever ourselves, and it's hard to get rid of that idea and that mentality. And that's what we were discussing yesterday, was about that aspect of things. So I'm going to put this guy up. We're going to add this to the stage, and we're going to talk about optimizing your ad spend, a PPC for home services. So our agenda here and what we're going to cover, we're going to do a deep dive into PPC for home services. Why is PPC important? Mastering some A/B testing. We'll talk about some CRO, or conversion rate optimization. So if you hear us say CRO for short, that is conversion rate optimization. And for those that are wondering what PPC is, well, you see it right there on the screen, pay per click. In case those are wondering what the heck does PPC even mean. And we'll talk about leveraging analytics to improve ad performance, some of the tools, and to analyze PPC campaign data. So our objective, really, as we already mentioned, is to give you the tools to own your paid ad success, right? That's the biggest thing. It's not to teach you how to run it, but to give you all those tools. So one question, though, that when I see this, what would you do if you didn't want to grow your business and actually wanted it to fail? You got this from a podcast you listened to the other day.
Yeah, this was Alex Hormozzi thing. He was talking about most people when they sit down thinking about wanting to grow their business. If you actually start at the opposite, what if you didn't want to grow your business? What if you wanted your business to tank and fail? What would you do? And, for most people, it's, well, I'm not going to tell anyone about it. I'm not going to market it. I'm not going to try and sell anything. I'm not going to push any sales on anybody. And so then if you were actually trying to grow your business, what's the opposite of that? Well, you need to spend money. You need to market your business. You need to tell everyone that you are in business and want their business, and then actively try to sell your products to them. So that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Nice. Looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. Bring this guy back in here. So let's dive into deep dive for PPC for home services, understanding the PPC landscape and why PPC is crucial for home services. So let's talk about the first one. I think there's a lot of confusion from some on how PPC works, what it means to them, how to be good at it, why should I do it, why shouldn't I do it? Because there's sometimes you don't want to do it, right? So walk us through some of the understanding of the PPC landscape and what we're seeing in the marketplace today.
Yeah, I mean, listen, pay-per-click advertising, Google Ads is often what people think of when they hear PPC, right? But it actually is more than that. You can run ads on Bing with PPC. I mean, certain Facebook ads are still pay-per-click instead of pay-per-impression. There's Yelp ads are pay-per-click, right? So there's these other mechanisms that exist as well around PPC. But really what you want to understand is number one, you're paying for someone to interact with your advertisement. That is what it is. It's different from local service ads. It's different from Google Guaranteed. Those you are paying per interaction. Someone actually has to message your business or pick up the phone and call you. Pay-per-click, they simply are interacting with your ad, and every time they do that, it costs you money. There's no disputing whether or not they did it because they clicked on it. Some of the controversies around it right now is that there's a lot of bots that are going through. There's a lot of spam clicking that's happening with competitors where, a business will search for AC repair near me and they'll click on all of their competition's ads just to make them spend money. It's a shitty practice. I don't encourage it. I would never do it, but other companies do. And it's an unfortunate thing, but it is reality. And you need to take that into account. And it's things that are driving up the costs. Automatic bidding right now, and this is something that we're looking at for ourselves, is how can we avoid the automatic bidding trap, where if you're giving all of your information to Google and saying, Google, please find me the best customers, it's in their best interest to, yes, find the best customers. And you're not going to think that they're not incentivized to drive up that cost by having you bid against other businesses.
Mm-hmm.
It's giving up your power and your control as a business to be able to understand what you're paying per client acquisition that you're bringing into your business. So, there's a lot of misunderstanding as to what it is, but really at the end of the day, what is it? It's paying, it's renting space on Google.
Right.
We talked about that with SEO when we had our SEO webinar. SEO is about owning your property and owning your real estate. Paid ads is about renting it. You're paying for that space. You're bidding for that space. There's an auction that happens, and Google is giving it to the highest bidder that they think is also going to provide the best result for the person who's searching.
Right. Well, you think about owning and renting, and diversified portfolio is the word that comes to mind. When you think about investing, you want to have a diversified portfolio. When you think about running a home service business and doing marketing, well, guess what? You want to have a diversified portfolio when it comes to marketing. So why, under that premise, is PPC crucial for a home service business?
Well, so there was a study that was done with Bright Local where they analyzed the search engine result page. So when you search for AC repair near me, plumber near me, electrician near me, that page that shows up is the search engine result page. Well, the very top is Google local service ads. What is it? 11% of people are clicking on that, or 12% are clicking on that. 11% are clicking on the paid ads underneath that. So if you're saying, no, I don't want to pay for any advertising with Google, you're automatically saying that I do not want 23% of the people that are searching for my service in my area. So even the businesses that are absolutely crushing it on an SEO perspective, it still makes sense to run paid ads because it's an opportunity to get in front of customers and get them to engage with your business and raise their hand and say, yes, I am interested in shopping for your service.
Makes sense. I like it. So now somebody has decided to do, they're going to say, okay, I'm going to do it. Let's do a deep dive into it. Next slide. Mastering A/B testing. Sorry, I realized that I didn't click on the next slide. I thought I clicked it and then I put it on there. But hey, you know what? Technological woes happens to the best of us. So mastering A/B testing. Right now, when we look at A/B testing, and there's a lot of different things you can do. I know some people are like, well, I'm going to test, this one thing, or I'm going to change 7 different things.
Well, I guess Let's
right?
backtrack it even.
I'm gonna walk it back, and because that's gonna
Okay,
be like the effective conduct of A/B testing, right?
cool.
When you look at A/B testing, I'm just kind of setting the stage for that second one, right? When you go back to that role, when you look at doing it and making sure that testing in PPC and A/B is done the right way, what's the role for it? How do you do it effectively?
Well, and I guess first, just make sure everyone understands what A/B testing is. So it's testing two different, what's the scientific term for it? Two
Controls.
different controls, right? Within an ad set or a landing page or insert thing that you're trying to test here, image. So the idea is you want to test one thing at a time and run one against the other, right? So it could be two different offers that you're trying to test to see which one is going to get the most amount of engagement. So you run that first. Great. Now we have our winner. And you almost want to think of it, perfect timing. It's March. It's like a March Madness bracket, right? So you're going to test two different offers to see who wins there. Fantastic. On to the next thing that we're going to test. Well, now we're going to test. So you got your offer. What is our unique identifier for our business? What is it that makes us stand out in the market? You run two different tests there. Is it the experience that we offer? Is it the 5-star reviews that we have backing that up? Like, what is it that people are going to integrate with there? Great. We're going to test that. Now we've got the ad that's working best. Are we going to test mobile versus desktop as well? You can run that on a completely different test. Are we going to test the landing page, right? Where are people clicking? How are people interacting with it? Are we going to test two different landing pages to see which one's going to actually perform the best? But you want to make sure that as you're doing any of these tests, and you want to make sure that the marketing company you're working with is only testing one thing at a time to get the data to allow you to understand which one is going to work best. This is why when you come to a marketing company and they say it takes 3 months to dial it in, this is the reason why, is because they're testing a whole bunch of different variables to make sure that you are profitable in your business. Because at the end of the day, I know for us, this is true. We would rather be wrong to our own prosperity than right to our own demise. Mm-hmm. Meaning, I'm not going to bang the table and say this landing page outperforms all other landing pages because I feel like it is. We're going to let the market dictate what is actually true behind that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's funny because we actually have two separate microsites running right now.
Yep.
To test out which ones are going to be the most effective, because we want to know which landing page is going to work the best. And look, sometimes different landing pages work better in different markets. It's the other part of it too, and understanding the consumer sentiment and psychology behind your demographic, which is
and how we even got to the microsites was we tested a microsite versus a single landing page, right? Yes. So if you went for AC repair, we built out a completely separate site that was different from your website because it was built to convert for ads, but it had the different tabs of the different services you provided versus a landing page that was designed only to convert. You clicked on it. You had no other options to visit any other services. All you saw was all of AC repair and book now, book now, book now, book now.
Mm-hmm. So, well, that brings up the next part, right? And so we talked about this in our webinar, our last webinar about conversion rate optimization for a website. And just to further extrapolate on that microsite, like it literally looks like an entire website built out with all your services, but it's not optimized for SEO. It's optimized for conversion rate optimization, and talking about different things for that, right? And so when you look at conversion rate optimization for PPC, obviously there's different things that you can do to enhance that conversion rate on a landing page or a microsite versus a traditional SEO site. So what are some of the things that are different on a Google Ads page, or any page really for that matter, from ads traffic versus something that you'd see on a traditional website?
So on a website, you're writing content for two different people. You're writing it for your end user, your consumer, but you're also writing it for Google so that you can actually rank your page and show up in the top of the search results. With paid ads, nobody cares about Google. It's about bidding in order to get to the top. So the only person that you're writing for is the end consumer. So now you don't have to keyword stuff. You don't have to mention AC repair 7 times on the page. You don't have to put the specific keyword that you're looking for, AC repair, city name, state. You can actually use proper grammar around it and say best AC repair or 5-star AC repair. You still want to have the title having the main keyword that you're targeting. You still want to have the location mentioned in there, because the more specific you are on the landing page, the better off it's going to convert. If someone typed in heating and air conditioning companies near me, and then the landing page talked about HVAC companies, there's a slight difference there. You would, like, we all know it's the same thing, but to an end consumer, it's slightly different. And that slight difference might be the difference between them being willing to pick up the phone or not. So you want to have consistency there between the search, the ad, and the landing page all the way through. If there's any kind of lack of consistency there, there's a chance that they might leave. And that's where the location comes in too, right? If you have an ad that's up for Okotoks, which is a small town where Thaddeus lives, just south of Calgary, someone searching for AC repair Okotoks, and they see an ad that says AC repair Okotoks, but then they go to the landing page and it says AC repair in Calgary and area. Well, now they might leave because it's 20 minutes away from Calgary. So they might say, I don't want to work with someone from Calgary. I want someone from Okotoks.
Right. And that's also a market specific and a nuance thing, and understanding the market, right? Like, I know for a fact that if somebody were to look, AC repair Okotoks and it says Calgary area, probably not going to be a no bueno at that point, right? There's some communities though, that if that pops up, even if it's 20 minutes out, they're like, fuck that shit. I don't want to go to, I don't want a Calgary company, and I want a local one, right? Where others might not care. So again, it's those small market nuances in there. But you think about and actually reviewing our last month webinar, and I'll just be simple and quick on this in terms of like the conversion rate optimization thing. We did a deeper dive on this customer experience and this journey that it comes from when they search a term to what they see, the little blue text that you see on Google, right? With the underlined and then the wording underneath it, and then landing on the page. And so when you look at that journey, you still want to match that on your Google ads, guys, because that's the biggest thing. And so this helps out that customer experience, the customer journey, which then adds into more conversions with it, right? Super, super important part. If you really want a deeper dive on that, go back and check out our last webinar when we did a toast or roast section at the end on websites. I'm almost tempted to bring that back, like do a weekly toast or roast on one website. So if you guys think that that's something that might be beneficial, let me know, send me a message and be like, yeah, I want to bring a toast or roast back, and we'll do a weekly one on there. But again, that's a deeper dive, right? And understanding the difference between that type of a website versus what we're saying here. The other part though, too, when you talk about conversion rate optimization, you can also test it at scale when you're working with a marketing company, right? And so you can test one page versus another page. And this is where there's benefit in partnering with a marketing company who's doing these sorts of things all the time, because we look at it and saying, okay, well, we're going to run AC repair ads to this landing page. We're going to run AC repair ads to this landing page. Well, now we're not just running it for one company. You can run it for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 different companies, separate. And now you can get the data back quicker to be able to make those decisions on that conversion rate optimization aspect of things.
Correct.
So brings us into, now that you've done the conversion rate optimization, you want to talk about leveraging some analytics to improve your ad performance, right? You've got the you've got the ads running, they're going to the landing page, you got your conversion rate optimization in place. I mean, relying on the marketing company like On Purpose Media to be able to do that for you. You want to talk about the power of analytics and PPC, analyzing PPC campaign data, and some of the tools and technologies that can go into it. So I know this is a little bit more robust than the previous ones, because I think this is where a lot of people don't understand the data behind it and the analytics and analyzing this, the campaign data, especially from a business owner standpoint. So walk us through some of the things in terms of looking at these analytics from PPC and be able to understand what you're looking at to make data informed decisions.
Well, first off, you need to make sure that the conversion tracking is set up and it's done correctly, right? Spam calls should not count as a conversion. Someone accidentally clicking on the call button on your ad should not count as a conversion, right? So you need to be very specific with what it is that's counting as conversion. So ask your marketing company, hey, exactly how is it that you qualify a conversion? Because we've done ad account audits before where it's been like that. You click an ad or you click a phone number and it's automatically counting it as a conversion. And then when they dial the number, it counts as a second conversion. And if they call you again, it counts as a third conversion. So just be very, very specific with it and ask the company, what is it that you are counting as a conversion? Our rule of thumb is it needs to be at least a 40-second phone call. Why 40 seconds? Well, one, it's a little bit longer than 30, and it gives enough time for a conversation to happen where we can have the CSR identify, is this a service that we provide in the area we provide it? Now, if they happen to be calling and saying, sorry, we don't have any availability right now for you, we can't get out to see you today. The client might say, thanks, but no thanks. I need someone to get here now. It's 100 degrees outside. My kids are crying. I need to get a good sleep tonight. You can't book that call. There's nothing you can do. You don't have any availability in your calendar. The only thing you could have done was done better planning ahead of time and capacity planning and overhire. But the reality is you can't fix that in that moment. Does that change whether or not that was a good lead? I would say absolutely not. It's still a great lead. The marketing company did exactly what they were supposed to do. It should still be counted as a conversion. So that's why we have it set for 40 seconds. Doesn't mean that every conversion is over 40 seconds is still a good lead. So we need to go back through and have those analytics. So that's the first thing there too, is do you have call tracking in place? Are you able to go back and listen to the calls, read transcripts? There's tons of AI tools available now as well, where they can go through and listen and read the transcripts and look for the keywords that should be mentioned. Things like days of the week, because that's a good conversion element to see, do you have availability on Monday, or, hey, we're booking you in on Monday. When a day of the week is mentioned, automatically that's a great lead. So yeah, there's different things like that you should be tracking. I think also when it comes to analytics, just looking at how much are we spending per job. This is something that's really overlooked in terms of budget planning and putting together your campaigns, is looking at how much do we make per job type that we run in our business. And does it even make sense to be running ads for these? I was in doing research for this webinar. I was watching some YouTube videos on different guys talking about, well, this HVAC company, they do all of these different job services. So we need to set up an ad group for every single one of these services. And as soon as I saw that, I knew that they didn't know what they were talking about, because at the end of the day, if you only have an average ticket on a hot water tank service of $99, is that actually a profitable job for you, when it's probably going to cost you at least $110 to $120 to get a booked job for that service? Because every single click adds up, right? Whether or not your CSRs are able to book 75, 85, 95% of the calls that come in, that's going to impact your cost. So you need to know, what is our cost to acquire a customer per job type? What is our average ticket per job type? What is our booking rate per job type? What is our closing rate per job type? And then that's going to impact the ROAS that we can play around with too, when it comes to planning out what we can do on a marketing side for cost per lead. And what I mean by that is, a repair call for you, a demand call, might be extremely profitable. Your profit margin on that might be 25, 30% net, whereas on an install, it might only be 15. So knowing that number is really important, because if we're running ads for installs, well, we're going to try and strive for a 7 or 8 times ROAS, meaning return on ad spend, versus a repair call, we might be able to get away with 5, and you're still profitable as a company. And that allows us to adjust our bidding so that we know what it is that we're trying to target. So I know I threw a lot at you there. We're going to go through a spreadsheet here a little bit later to go through that. But it is really, really important for you to be documenting in your business. And so this is exactly what we talked about yesterday on the podcast with Azar. He mentioned even paper tracking. Doesn't have to be tech. Don't let tech and spreadsheets and AI and Zapier and integrations, don't let that get in the way of progress in your business. Having someone manually write out, hey, we took in 15 calls today. 3 were for maintenance. 10 were for repairs. 5 were for quotes, right? I think that adds up to 18, not 15, but regardless.
Math is difficult.
You track those, and then what did we book off of those? And then of the ones that we booked, how many did we run? And of the ones that we ran, how many did we sell? And on the ones we sold, what did we sell? How much did we sell it for? Now you've got those numbers. Now you can make accurate projections in your business so that you're not 3 months down the road saying, I just lost my shirt on Google Ads. Google Ads doesn't work. When the reality is that you were just bidding on the wrong job types for your business and what your specialty is in.
Super important parts in there. I mean, if you're the TLDR of that is understanding your numbers from a average ticket perspective to know if it's profitable to make money off that or run those ads, or it could even be a loss leader, right? Tune-ups, good example, $67 tune-up or 77 or 97 or whatever your number is, but it's costing you $150 per click. Well, you're going to lose money if you're just looking at just that price. But what's your average ticket of it? Are you now taking in a tune-up and having an average of $900 to $1,000 on that because you're finding other things? Okay, well, now it might make sense. Plus, you get them as a member. Plus, you get stickiness. Plus, the lifetime value of the customer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, some great points in that. So, in looking at now, we're shifting into the analytics and the power of that, analyzing the PPC campaign data itself. So if somebody would say, okay, I've got access to my PPC, my Google Ads account or Yelp or wherever you're running it. By the way, if you don't have access to it and your marketing company's holding that hostage, probably not the best decision out there. I think we're starting to see that trend go away a lot in the marketplace, and people are starting to own their data. And it's fine, by the way, if they run it in their own account. I'm not saying that that's wrong, but you should be able to see that access anytime that you want and have read only or whatever it is. I mean, some people want to have that data because there's a use case to say, okay, I'm going to run all these ads in one Google Ads account because the learning is compressed, right? The other case of that is, well, now you as a company don't own that data. It's that other companies. I mean, you can transfer it, yada, yada, yada. I'm kind of getting off on my tangent here. But looking at this PPC campaign data, if you were to open up a Google Ads account, how do you, and somebody's like, oh, I don't know what I'm looking at. If you're given some baselines of it, what would you tell them?
Well, I mean, first you need to look in your Service Titan House Call Pro Sarah and understand what is my actual cost per acquired client, cost per book call, right? If you don't know that number, then looking at any of the other numbers isn't going to make sense anyways. So you need to start there and know what is it that I'm spending in order to get a book job through Google Ads. And again, if you don't have proper conversion tracking, you're fucked anyways. So you need to make sure that you got proper conversion tracking, some type of dynamic number swapping on the website. Again, your marketing company will know what that is. It's called DNI. CallRail has it. Like most companies have it now for any kind of call tracking. So you should be able to implement that. Service Titan has it with their ad optimizer as well. Once you have that, you're looking at your ads account. The main things you're going to see in there: cost, total number of conversions, CPC, so cost per click, and the cost per lead. Those are kind of the typical metrics that you'll see on the top of the page. The other stuff that's in there is going to be the information that your marketing company should understand in order to improve those metrics, right? Click-through rates, I wouldn't worry about them as an owner, right? It's just not something that you need to dive into. When you look at total number of conversions that we had, hey, we had 58 conversions that came through this week, but we only ended up booking 12. That's a conversation to bring up with your marketing company, right? And then maybe perhaps looking at our own data within the company to say, well, we actually only answered 36 of them. So that's on us because we missed a whole lot of opportunities there. And maybe that's an ad scheduling issue where we need to look at when our ads running. But yeah, the metrics to look at: conversion rate. Ideally, we see it north of 20%. That's kind of a benchmark, and it is going to fluctuate throughout the year. If we're running ads in August and it's 112 degrees outside in Arizona, fan-fucking-tastic. Marketers look so good at that time. Weather is our best friend sometimes. We're running ads in March and it's 60 degrees outside. Everyone's just having themselves a jolly good day. Well, conversion rates are going to be a little bit lower. And that's where for us, we aim for that 20% as a benchmark. And that's what we strive for. Cost per lead. Generally, you're probably going to see it around $100, $80 in an average ad account. That does not mean a lead booked into your calendar. That just means that they converted, and that's what you paid in order to get that converted lead in your Google Ads account.
Good data to look at, right? But again, conversations with your marketing company to also help understand that data. But it's a two-way street too, right? This is the other part. Because you mentioned 50 conversions, 36 answered, 12 booked. Okay, well, have that conversation with your marketing company. Just don't set it and forget it and hope that
Correct.
it's going to work out. Right? You gotta have a conversation. It's like bringing on an employee, right? It's a relationship. If you bring on an employee and just say go do work and you never have a conversation with them, what's going to happen to it? Well, it's going to
Yep.
falter, right? Same thing with a marketing company, and having those conversations with them. So a lot of
Well,
times
and
we
that's
talk.
where there's great tools, right?
Yes,
And I'm not sure if this is where you're going next or not,
this is
but
where I was going next. Yes.
perfect. It's a layup.
All right. All right.
Um,
So tools and technologies, Evan, go.
and look, if you're following Kevin Lesage, John Torrey, the guys from Searchlight, you've seen a lot of their content being pushed out there. There's a bunch of marketing companies that are using them. We're using them as well for some of our reporting, and it's fantastic because it's giving you that data to connect the lead to the attribution and the revenue. So when there's a click that comes through your Google Ads and it connects through Service Titan, we're able to see that your Google Ads ended up in this much revenue for your business. And here's your ROAS on that. You're seeing a bunch of different marketers post their reports online now with that because it's fantastic. It's a great tool to use. What Converts is another one. If you wanted to install something yourself, it takes a lot more effort because it's not built for the trades, whereas Searchlight is already built for the trades. Profitfill, excited to be talking with them because they're doing something really similar as well. And then of course there's the ad optimizer in Service Titan where you can connect your Google Ads account and get that full attribution there. The reason why we were looking for a tool that was going to be able to connect all of that and give proper revenue attribution, it's because when we work with a company that is experienced, they've been in the business for 10, 20, 30, 100 years. We wanted to be able to analyze how are the leads contacting them. If it's a repeat customer because they're in your database, did they search up your business name in a branded search? Or did they search up an actual service instead? And this is something that, any marketing company that you're working with, make sure they have those two things separated out in their search campaigns. There should be a branded campaign that is completely separate, and don't blend those results when it comes to reporting because it will skew your results. Someone who's searching for your brand name, they should be converting at a really high level, and it shouldn't cost you a lot to get those leads. Reason why, actually, let me ask you that. Why would you bid on a branded campaign? Why would you want to have your business name as a campaign and pay for that lead if they're searching for you anyways?
More visibility, more opportunity to have a click. Other
Yep.
times now some businesses, some marketers will do this, and I don't necessarily agree with it, but they will bid on another company's name. So they will, if somebody says, well, let's just use on purpose media, right? So if somebody searches on purpose media and there's another marketing company that is bidding on purpose media, they're actually going to show up above our natural organic results, and they're going to have that opportunity to click on that and steal that customer away. Now, if we were to also have on purpose media, well, they would see on purpose media, they'd see another company, they'd see on purpose media. Okay, well, now you've got a bigger opportunity to be able to grab that click and be able to grab that market share at generally pennies on the dollar, which
Yep.
is the other part, right? If you're, it's almost like setting a percentage of your budget to repeat customers. And what are you doing to bring those in? Well, this is part of it too, right? I mean, it should only be a couple dollars at most to bid on your own keyword. Now, caveat, if you have heating and air conditioning in there and you're bidding on that, it might rise the price up just a little bit, depending on how that is in your market. So there's some nuances that are in that, but that's why I would do it, right? Because it makes
Yes.
sense. It's only a little bit of money on a month by month basis to increase your visibility and the opportunity to have repeat business come in.
Yeah, it's building a barrier around your brand, right? Owning your customer base, like Thad says. And it also helps with your offline campaigns as well, right? If you're running a lot of radio ads or newspaper ads or TV ads, billboards, you're going to get people who are going to search your brand simply because of those mechanisms. And that branded search is one way to measure how effective those branding campaigns are. And so you want to make sure that you capture those leads when they come in and when they're searching for your name. You can also see in Google Ads who's bidding for your brand. And sometimes it's not a malicious intent from those companies. Sometimes they just didn't set up their campaigns correctly. And so they've got broad match turned on, which is a type of bidding strategy, where if they're searching for heating and air companies and they have that in a broad campaign, someone who types in your business name and it's, RCL heating and air, well, chances are that someone else is going to be bidding on that campaign because they have broad match keywords turned on. If you've ever ran Google Ads and you've got a call from your Google Ads number and they're asking for another company, chances are that's what's happening. And that's why negative keywords are so important as well. I can't remember where else I was going to go with that.
Change logs.
Ooh.
Sure.
Let me open this up.
All right. So change logs, I think that, look, there's always a lot of tweaking and optimization going on in a campaign, right? There's a negative keyword list, building that in. There's these couple tweaks to, A/B testing and making sure that things are always constantly moving and changing and tweaking and adapting. Something that is on Google is something called a change log. And hopefully Evan has it pulled up and in time, and I've bought him enough time to be able to do that, because I'm going to assume he's going to open up and show a change log, but he's making sure that there's no data that he wants to show that could be incorrect. So that's my guess, is what he's trying to do there. So am I correct? Did I buy you enough time?
It's loading, so you're almost there.
Almost there. So, but again, an important thing to be able to say, you should be able to go in and see your change logs to see if the marketing company is earning their retainer spend on a month-by-month basis, to say, okay, well, are you actually tweaking and testing and optimizing and working on making sure that things are getting dialed in? And you know what? Sometimes there's going to be only a few changes. Sometimes there's going to be a lot of changes. It kind of depends on what the seasonality and the time of the year and what the market is dictating, but they should be on it. They should be looking, and they should be constantly testing, tweaking, and optimizing different things in your account to be able to get the right results. Now, if your results are absolutely crushing it in through and through, there might not be a lot of change happening on the ads account itself. It could be on the back end. It could be on the landing page, and those sorts of things. So keep in mind that there are some nuances to that, but there should always be something happening. All right, pull it up, because I think I'm done talking about change logs. All right.
There we go. All right. So all you're going to do is on the side here.
You got a big screen.
I know, right?
Yeah.
On the side. See, size matters, bud.
Except for when I'm squinting to try to see it.
On the side here, you just click on change history and it'll pull it up and it'll show you for whatever time frame you want, how they're interacting in the campaign, what they're doing, all of that. Let me dismiss that and get that out of there. And so you can set it for a week, 10 days, 14 days, etc., 30 days. You pick the time frame and you can see how much change is actually happening in the account. If it's a seasoned account, whatever it is, you can see this is not one of ours, but there's some changes that have happened in here from the Google API key. This was an audit that we had done there. So you'll just want to check and see what your change history is on a campaign and how much an ad account is being optimized on a regular basis.
Cool. Makes sense. Practical applications. Let's talk a little bit about that in terms of how this makes sense to be able to do it from a practical standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that you'll want to do, and I'm going to switch which tab my screen is sharing here.
Oh yeah, you exited out of it, and it maybe I removed it from it, and now it's
no, you're good.
Showing up. So all right.
Yeah. So this is a spreadsheet that I originally actually got the idea from someone else that was running Google Ads. He put it up on YouTube. You can search for it yourself. I think it's Thanos Media or something like that. But it's just the idea of breaking out all of your different job types, and then what are you actually selling on those jobs? What's the percentage of jobs that you're booking? What's the closing percentage on those jobs? And then it's going to get these ones here. This one's a formula. It's going to give you your lead value. And then this is where it gives you your target cost per lead, and then how much you should be bidding on that based on the conversion data in order to get a lead for that cost. Okay. So this is where it'll start to make sense as to whether or not you should run a job for that job type. So for an AC install, if your average ticket is 12K on that, but you're only booking 30% of those jobs, you're only closing 30% of those jobs, the value of each lead is worth about $1,000 to you. If you need a 7x ROAS on that in order to be profitable, then you've got a cost per lead and how much you should be bidding on each job. Okay. It's a fun little tool that you can play with. You can plug in your average values here. You can plug in what percentage it is for booking and then your closing percentage. Here's how this is valuable. Okay. I was talking with Amanda Triolo from Grasshopper Heating and Cooling when we were in Memphis at the True Grit event. She recently had her brother, Dylan, he wanted to take on a project of running an after hours call center to try and improve their results. He's absolutely crushed it for them. They took their after hours booking from, I think she said it was 41% to 83%. So more than doubled their efficiency on booking jobs. Well, what that allowed her to do was she didn't have to pay as much anymore in order to get the call volume that she needed. And so she was able to slash her marketing budget on those calls and be able to book just as many jobs on the board so that her techs were busy full time. So being able to improve your metrics in the office, your booking percentage and your closing percentage is incredibly important. Being able to impact your average ticket is incredibly important to the end results of your marketing. The more efficient you are on these three metrics right here, the easier it's going to be for your marketing company to help you be profitable on the end side. So we'll share out this link and y'all can make a copy of it. We'll put it in the comments here on Facebook and follow up for those that register for the webinar as well. And we'll send it to you in an email in the follow-up. But this is just a great tool that you can plug around with and play with in order to figure out, well, how much should we be getting for a cost per lead for these jobs? And does that make sense? Is that even possible? To get a maintenance call at a $13 cost per lead really is not realistic. And so this would be one that we would flag and say, you know what? We're just not going to be able to get those calls for you. Now, you might say, well, actually, I don't need the same return on those calls because the lifetime value of those clients is so high. So we might change that to a 3 times ROAS as the target. Well, now could we get a cost per lead at 31? It's a little bit more realistic. It's still going to be pretty hard for an AC tune-up type lead, but at least now it's within the realm of possibility.
Data, and this is a key thing from it. And you think about how can this be applicable to a business, right? Well, it's the new data, and we're moving into an age in 2024 where data is so relevant and pertinent. It's at your fingertips. There was I didn't fully read the article, but I'm a hockey follower, and it was talking about the age of analytics, the age of data in hockey, and how they're making data-driven decisions for people on the ice. Well, we can do the same thing in a business, and it doesn't take a whole heck of a lot for you to look at doing it yourself. And if you have a good marketing company and you're listening to this and you say, hey, I want to be able to leverage and put this into my business so I can look at some of the data trends so I can make a data-informed decision, not a gut feel decision, but a data-informed decision, you're going to make smarter moves in your business.
100%. So in terms of like a checklist, key takeaways type thing, I think that was where we were going next. Yeah.
Yeah, this next one. I was talking about the key takeaways from today.
Amazing. Number one, conversion tracking. Make sure you got it set up. Make sure it's set up correctly and they're measuring the right things. So the question to ask your marketing company, what are our conversions that we are tracking? And how are you tracking them? Okay. Number two, know your numbers. Your sales numbers, your booking percentages. Have those down for every single job type that you want to run ads with so that you can be as efficient as possible on all of your ad types and you're not overspending on jobs that you should not be booking through ads. Number three, something we didn't talk about, what I think is incredibly important, is your ad schedule. What times are you running ads? And who's answering the phone when you're running those ads? So an example with Amanda, again, is that after hours answering service. if I'm looking at her stats and it says that her answering service is only booking at 41%, I'm probably going to suggest we don't run ads to them and that we turn off the ads when your CSRs leave for the day, because we're no longer as profitable on those calls, right? But if you don't have that data, if you don't have those numbers, then it's really hard to do. We've done this for multiple clients before in the past, where we're listening to some of the calls of the after-hour service and they're not even booking it directly into your calendar. They're just handing it off to you to call them in the morning to confirm the call. That's not a true after-hours answering service. And the chances of that company or that customer calling someone else goes up dramatically. So making sure that you've got the right ad schedule and that you're sending the calls to your best CSR. Now you might say, I only have one CSR. Great. Then it's probably going to be her or him. Send the calls to the person who can book the most amount of calls. Locations. Are you sending the ads to the right places? And then are they matching on the ad and the landing page itself? Making sure that you've got that laid out as well for your company. The worst thing that you could possibly see. Look, in the States, what is it? 12 different cities and towns called Portland, right? Like there's a lot of them. And so if you're not putting in the right negative keywords and location targeting, you're going to end up losing money and spending money in the wrong places. And have a great offer. Because if you don't have a great offer, people will gloss over it. If you have a great offer and you might be the third option on the ads list, people are more likely to click on you than the number one result that paid more to, or was bidding more to be in that top spot. But by having a great offer, you're going to get more attraction and more clicks on your ad.
Cool. I like it. And in really, I mean, this whole thing was one massive takeaway, right? There's so much data in here, right? And so much to be able to look at. Really, in the short and narrow of this is, if you're still confused by some of this data that we talked about, well, just go have an honest conversation with the marketing company, right? Reach out, have a conversation with us if you want. Even if you're happy with your current marketing company, we'll still have that conversation, provide that value to you to help extrapolate and help you understand that. It's okay to say, I don't know.
Yes.
Right? It's okay to say that. Put that, eat a piece of humble pie and say, I don't know. Can you help me? It's tough for a lot of people to say, a lot of people to do, myself included. But when you're able to do that, now you can understand the data. Now you can understand better decisions. Now you can make those informed decisions. Now you can move your business forward in a smarter manner. So
100%. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is pain.
100%. Well, thank you everybody for joining us on today's webinar. So if you have any questions, you can text us 888-428-0662. You can also call that number. We do have another webinar coming up here. Local fame awaits, Conquer, Google Maps, and LSA. I know we're blending those two together, but they do kind of go together, but they're also kind of separate all at the same time. So stay tuned for that webinar, April 25th at 1 p.m. Mountain time. That's noon Pacific. That's 2 Central. That's 3 Eastern. And who knows what it is in Newfoundland. So it's a Canadian joke for y'all.
If you did want a second opinion and you are looking at someone else to take a look at what's happening in your marketing, again, you can text us on that 888 number or 719-824-1377. And you can also go to onpurposemedia.ca/marketing-analysis. And we'll be able to take a look at what's going on in your account. You can give us read-only access into your Google Ads account. And we can start poking some holes, finding areas where there's wasted ad spend, and put that money back into your pocket.
100%. Thank you, Evan, for sharing your wisdom on today's call about everything PPC.
You're very welcome.
Perfect. And to take a line from our podcast, HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. Until next time.
Cheers.
If you like what you heard today, you can hit us up and get a marketing analysis done on your business to know if you're on pace or if you're off pace. Head on to the link that's on your screen, onpurposemedia.ca/marketing-analysis. Book a time with us and we'll go over and give you all of the details. No obligations, by the way, on whether your marketing is on point or whether it's not. Of course, we also want to see you on our socials. We got our Facebook, we got our Instagram, we got our Threads, we got our TikTok. Give us a follow.